Alright, hello there everyone. Second try on this video. We're going to take a look at Plague Inc. Evolved. Now, let's just, I guess, start again from the beginning with the history of the company. Endemic Creations. They are on early access right now with Plague Inc. Evolved. And Plague Inc. was originally on iOS, and maybe Android, I'm not for sure, but iOS definitely. And it was a sort of a modernized-ish version of Pandemic, an old Flash game. Pandemic was a lot simpler, but very, very popular, and of course free. And then Endemic came along and decided to make a retail version that isn't that expensive, and has a bunch of extra stuff. And eventually what they did is put another version of it, the Evolved version, on Steam. And I'll show you when we get in what it entails that's actually different. But one of the main things I want to talk about is, first of all, the price point. It's $15, and it is early access. But second of all, the scenario creator. The scenario creator allows you to go in and create custom scenarios, which are different kinds of diseases and various things that you could possibly make, including, let's go to what they are featuring right now, things like a werewolf virus, lycanthropy, a vampire plague, even demons, and a Rise of the Machines kind of thing. There's even one of my favorites that I really want to try, a Cthulhu-based one, which is basically, can you thwart the humans of Earth and make the cultists have Cthulhu rise again to take his Earth back. Very interesting concepts, and you can make as many as you want, even for yourself, and of course it is all done through Steam Workshop, which is amazing. So that's something that this version has that is very cool. There are also, of course, official scenarios which come with the game. Some of them are sort of new versions of diseases that have swept the Earth before, and some of them are very interesting, like a 30,000-year-old virus, and the unknown origin scenario, which is sort of to call back to the old Pandemic. Right now we're going to go into the main game, and this is how it's going to work. You're going to start with this bacteria, which is a sort of jack of all trades, and every time you beat a scenario on the normal difficulty, you're going to unlock the next one, and then the next one. And it goes from really interesting ones like the Nurax worm all the way down to what I'm going to show you now, which is the Necroa virus, which is very strange, basically a zombie plague-making virus. So let's do it. Got some genes. You can put in various types of genes that help to spread the specializations around and allow you to kind of tailor a... we'll do humid. Tailor a virus, including some that are specific to each different kind of disease you're trying for, so I don't have any of those yet. And we're going to go on normal difficulty. There are even some cheats you can unlock later on, which help for just a little bit of extra fun if you want. And Mega Brutal difficulty, by the way, is also kind of new, and is if you're a masochist. So, normal difficulty it will be. We are going to call it generic horror movie, since zombies are far overdone. Now here's how it works. We're going to start off by choosing a location to start in. So this is the country of origin that the disease is going to infect its patient zero. We're going to start with probably the UK. Oops, I started in France on accident. Alright, France it is. So we're starting in France, and here's how it's going to work. We're going to begin building up disease points, these DNA points. Yes, indeed. And what's going to happen is, occasionally these little orange bubbles are going to pop up. You can pop them for more DNA points, and occasionally red ones will pop up that you can also click on to get more points, and those indicate that you have actually spread to another country, which is very important, obviously. So you're going to be starting off with these DNA points, and what you're going to want to do from the beginning is keep the severity bar as low as possible, because this is how obvious it is to doctors. So obviously you're not going to want it to be treated and cured really quickly. You want it to spread as far and wide as it possibly can first. So we're going to start with zoonotic shift to make some stuff. Oh, that's okay. That increases research speed, and it increases it fairly significantly. I don't really want to do this yet, to be honest. It's actually really useful, but I don't want to do that. So we're going to go with saliva first, which is a very weird sentence. Kind of gross. And it's going to start off in France, infecting a couple of people. So the more it infects, the more DNA points I'm going to get. But of course I need to remember to balance the actual infectivity and the severity of the disease. I want it to be able to spread quickly and through different vectors like air and sea, but I also want it to not be spotted by doctors too quickly, because if a cure starts researching too soon, I'm not going to have enough steam to actually infect enough people to slow down the cure in the first place, which is going to doom me from the beginning. So basically we're going to start off slow. Let's speed up time. And yes, you can see all kinds of silly little references up here in this news ticker, all these sort of ticker tape things, all kinds of references to other video games, TV series, Valve themselves, you know, that kind of stuff. So what you're seeing right now is one of the big differences of the Steam version, and that is the map. The map is a lot different. The map is actually much more detailed, it has a lot more animation to it. You can even do things like see where and from where these various flights and boats are going, which is interesting. And the overall detail of the map that you see, as well as the dynamic nature of clouds and oceans moving, is vastly increased in the Steam version. Actually looks a lot better, as well as nice particle effects, which, as you know, I love. So, right. We're going to get segmented genome, and then we need to start working on some of this stuff. So the gist of the game is that you're going to try and spread your disease as far as fast as possible, and then start making it very severe and possibly lethal, so that you can destroy the world, basically. And that's the goal, to destroy the world. You are the bad guy, or the bad disease, in this case. And one thing I very much like about it is that it's going to make you alter your gameplay style for every different disease type. You're not going to be able to do the same thing over and over again. Doing the exact same strategy with different types of diseases is actually not all that smart, because each one has various specialties, and of course those little mutation trees for various evolutions are going to change for each disease, so you're going to have to employ different strategies. Right now I want some heat resistance, and then I'm going to get drug resistance. Okay, it got insomnia by itself. Now diseases can mutate by themselves, they can mutate symptoms. And this can be good or bad, because when it mutates something, it gives it to you for free, and some of those symptoms can be very expensive. But it of course makes it more viable to be spotted by doctors, and that's not what you want. So occasionally you can, if you need to, click on one of these and devolve it. Now some diseases are going to give you DNA to devolve things, but this one actually costs you DNA to devolve things, which is why I'm not going to do that right now. But I do want hypersalivation because I have saliva infection, so it makes sense to combine those two. There are various combinations and synergies you can get, and the game will alert you to some of them, like the Oops one, which is one of my favorites because it's diarrhea and sneezing. Yes, you could guess what that does. Lovely. So let's talk about the early access model. Right now, I try to give you in each of these Hitchhiker's Guide to Early Access videos, every installment, a reason why I would trust that particular early access program, because early access is rife with abandonment and fraught with mistrust from developers. And that's not good, because honestly it deserves it. The system is a bit of a mess. And I made this series, in an attempt to help that. To help cure that, if you will, because there are a lot of really good games on early access, but they are just buried under really untrustworthy practices, awful business decisions, and unfinished abandoned games. So I try to give you some reasons in each of these why I think that this one is a particular one to trust, and in this case I have two for you. One, Endemic is updating this game very regularly. The latest update was on the 9th of October. And it added several new things, including the whole workshop support for custom scenarios and new disease types like semi-influence, stuff like that. Photophobia, I don't mind that. So what that means is they're developing the game consistently, and that's important for a hopefully successful early access program. And secondly, is that the game actually has a lot of content already. As you saw with the various disease types, the fact that each of these trees is very fleshed out, all of the scenarios that are already in the game, and the scenario creator means that there's a huge amount of content. So let's just say, for instance, that this game was never updated again. Now, I don't think that's the case. God forbid that actually happens, but let's just say, for the sake of argument, that they never ever updated it again. In my opinion, there's already so much content here and so much longevity with the custom scenario creator that it is worth the $15 as it is. And so that's one thing to consider when you're buying an early access game. What if it's not finished? And in this case, in my opinion, if it isn't finished, which I don't think it will be, I think it will be finished. I don't think they'll just abandon it. They have shown no intention to do so. But again, sake of argument, if it was abandoned, there's already so much in it that $15 seems like a pretty fair price to me. So that's another thing to consider, is that in an early access program, how much are they doing in working on the game, and how much is already there? In this case, the kind of things that they're talking about adding, the kind of things that are missing per se, in particular are two very interesting sounding modes. They're talking about a cooperative multiplayer and a competitive multiplayer mode, as well as more types and branches of what's already in here. That's very interesting to me. That is really, really neat. And those things are not in the game yet, obviously. But that's some of the stuff they're talking about later on. And I like that idea. I think that's a very cool idea that should come up with some really interesting stuff, especially when combined with the scenario creator, which already has a huge amount of creativity put into it. Now, like I said, if they never finish it, in my opinion, it's worth it, because there's already so much here to have fun with. But considering how often they've been updating it and all the new stuff they've been adding, and they clearly have made the Steam version different from the mobile version, as in better, I can't really fault them. They are doing a very good job. They are honestly doing an excellent job. What's one of the main things that you see in straight iOS ports that pisses off PC gamers? No tooltips. When games have no tooltips, because on iOS you can't hover because there's no mouse. You can't hold your finger over something and have it give you a tooltip. In this case, there are tooltips for just about everything. Everything you can hover over pretty much is going to have a tooltip for you. And that specifically, although it's a very specific example, shows me that they know the Steam version isn't supposed to be just a straight port that is increased in price for no reason. The added value is there. You have the tooltips, you have options, including things like even anisotropic filtering and stuff like that, just to help it look a little smoother. You have very nice particle effects and animations, you have a nice detailed map, you have a hugely detailed and convenient to use world screen that is totally different from the mobile version, with a lot more information. You have a really fun to look at disease screen with graphs, so you can see all sorts of different things. And you have keyboard controls for one, and just more analytics and more just stuff for stata files to look at, which is, again, very important. And why is that? Because the game itself is essentially a numbers game. It's a simulation game. And the fact that they clearly know this and are doing, in my opinion, a lot to sort of enhance that is a good thing. So we're going to continue to spread our disease through the world, and ideally what you want to do is spread the disease to as many countries as possible, infect every single one before you start getting a highly lethal disease. Because the disease can get to the point where it kills people before people are infected. Alright, it's been noticed, but there's no cure or research done yet. So we have a little bit of time to continue to spread ourselves. I can look and see that there are still a lot of healthy countries that have not been touched, so... Alright, so the cure research has begun, but it's going to take a very long time right now, as you can see, because it is not a priority. So if we keep ourselves on the down low for a while, then we can attempt to hopefully be less of a priority, so the cure doesn't come as quickly. So I'm spreading different infection vectors, things about land, sea, and air, of course, trying to increase the number of infection vectors available so it can spread as far and wide as possible. Alright, gastroenteritis, not something I really want. It makes it very infectious, but it also makes it really obvious. But unfortunately, this thing costs to devolve. So this is actually a pretty tough virus to use, in my opinion, because it mutates pretty quickly, and a lot of its mutations are really obvious and severe, and it actually costs a lot to actually devolve them. Usually it only costs about 3 or 4 points to devolve something for things that actually cost. In this case, it costs 7 for the basic things, so this is actually, I don't know, the Necrovirus kind of seems like hard mode to me. It is quite challenging, but as you can see now, every one of those bubbles is a newly infected country, so we are spreading ourselves very quickly. But the cure, since I'm on the watch list, is going to start being researched, like, now. So I need to hurry up and let's get some more drug resistance so the cure goes slower. And let's get some genetic hardening so it goes even slower. Now, let's see. Urogenital expansion. That's pretty crazy. Let's see. Gastrointestinal expansion. We'll do urogenital because that just sounds awful. I'm making just a terrible virus. And again, I'm trying not to evolve symptoms right now because I don't want it to be any more obvious and severe than it is, because it is already catching the attention in a way I don't want it to. The cure is actually only a year off right now, so I need to really get going. The world is being infected quite quickly, but not quickly enough in my opinion. We've really got some problems here. How many healthy... There are only a few healthy countries left, but they're still there, so... Let's do genetic reshuffle 1. That's going to take the cure progress down a few %, so it takes longer. Alright. And what we're seeing now is that this gets cured very quickly. This is a problem I've had with this particular virus. The cure seems to research just absurdly fast. So really, you need to start taking people over. Alright, cannibalism. That's scary. Autophagia. Devour their own body. Coma. Okay, coma is very useful. That slows research down significantly. Delirium. Definitely do that. Alright, so this disease is getting very serious now, but the cure is... Alright, so the first people have died from it, so people are going to start to fall. But, yeah, they're dying quite quickly, so we need some more infections to happen. Hopefully, maybe some, with all the violence that's happening, maybe some blood infection would be a good idea. Yeah, the cure speed is absurdly fast on this disease. It's already, it's ridiculous. It's like 1% a day, 10%. Yeah, this is bad. Okay, what have we got? Cytopathic reanimation. That's the main thing, it turns out. That makes zombies, so let's do that. Suddenly, zombies exist. Begins to reanimate the dead. So this seems like the gimmick of this particular disease. It changes everything, yep. So the fact that this thing actually is researching a cure so quickly, it tells me that I need to get to the whole zombie stage a lot quicker, because I'm failing miserably on this over and over because I don't think I'm getting to the point fast enough. It unlocks a bunch more stuff now that you've got the whole zombification thing, so obviously you kind of need to do that quickly, it seems like. So yeah. Interesting. This is a very cool disease and really, really interesting, but I'm really bad at it. Uh-oh, there are active abilities. Zombie horde and reanimate. Okay. So if I do this... Who is leading the UK? So if I do this on the UK, it'll make more zombies. Sweet. Interesting that you have a bunch of active abilities. So obviously what I'm doing wrong is I'm not doing the whole get to the zombie stage quick enough, and the cure is happening really fast. There's no other disease that cures this quickly. It goes super fast, and you only have 2 reshuffles and 1 genetic hardening, which is way less than other diseases have. So you have to work really fast with this thing and start raising the dead. So unfortunately, I lose. Because I'm going very, very slowly. And it turns out the whole it's a zombie disease thing, ZCOM, oh wow, nice. There's an XCOM reference there. So yeah, I guess for this disease you really need to start that quickly. Interesting. Let's start moving some zombies around. I see. Alright. So even though there's actually a cure, as it turns out, that doesn't finish it for you, because as long as you have zombies alive, they can start killing dudes, and you need to evolve the zombies themselves to be dangerous rather than the disease, because it seems like it's actually very difficult to make the cure happen like slowly, because it goes so fast. It's actually absurd. But yeah, we need to get some zombies going. Interesting. This is a very, very interesting disease. Alright, so there's a ZCOM base, which is a completely different thing. So even though there's actually a cure available, I can continue infecting people. Because, as it turns out, zombies, they don't just go away when you cure them. If they're dead, they're dead. So that's actually really cool. It's interesting because normally seeing a zombie, that's it. That's the end of that particular particular thing. Once the cure happens, you're done for. But in this case, that isn't actually true. So we need to start sending zombie hordes for other places and infect them. Start raising more zombies and sending them around. Not what I wanted. There. Alright. So that takes DNA. I see. Interesting. Zombies are spreading rather quickly. Can I? No, I can't. Okay, hang on. Let's make these guys more dangerous. Let's see. Mummification. Let's reduce the zombie decay. Autolytic delay slows decomposition. That's useful. We'll definitely get that. And we'll have a big increase in zombies over here. Yeah, nice. Alright, so we want to crush this resistance if we can. So let's have some of these zombies move. Whoops, I clicked the wrong ability. My bad. The world is actually not doing so well right now. The number of zombies is heavily increasing. This is actually very interesting. Alright. I'm gonna send some of those up to that resistance up there and try and crush it if we can. You can see the zombies trailing through the air. That's actually really cool. That's kind of amazing. Horrific slaughter in China. Whoops, I'm very sorry about that. Are there any healthy nations? There are actually several that are healthy, but let's start sending zombies their way. Greenland is healthy. Let's change that. Let's send some zombies from maybe France over to Greenland. Like that. And then let's raise some more zombies from the corpses in the UK. Give us 2 million more. Let's get some more from there and send them up here. There we go. So this almost turns it into a real-time strategy at this point, because you, instead of just being a disease simulation, you actually have to actively manage the zombie horde and continue to raise and move them around. So that's interesting. That's a very cool mechanic. Again, as it shows, the game has a lot of content because, well, as it turns out, every disease plays completely differently. I like that a lot. Alright. So we're gonna look for a place that has a lot of dead, but no zombies. Like France, for instance. Let's start raising zombies in France. There we go. There are 320 million zombies in the world now. Alright. We need to start slowing some decomposition as well. Alright. Let's send some of these over to Algeria. Because we've got some serious issues with the ZCOM. Yeah, we infected that country. Alright. Let's get the zombies back to life and try and crush the resistance over there if we can. So I guess what you're kind of going to want to try and do is eliminate the areas that these bases are in so that they can't fight back anymore. You want to have a lot of deaths in those areas. Very morbid, but very interesting. Alright, we need to raise some more zombies and send them over. I'd like for them to make it a little easier to send zombies to specific areas, but other than that, I don't really have a problem with this mode. It's very interesting. It's very difficult, but it's very interesting. Nice. Alright, we're infecting some areas. I really need to get some more points and stop spending them on reanimation because the zombies are decaying too quickly. There's a lot to learn in this particular version. I did not expect this to change so quickly. Alright, we're gonna devolve. Oh no, devolving cost, that's right. I can't devolve. We're not going to devolve because I can't do that. Destroy ZCOM. Alright, so we're gonna have to spend some more on this. Let's get some zombies up in the Balkan states. Because, I mean, of course. ZCOM is setting up dim bases, though. Yeah, I might lose. The zombies are decaying too quickly and I'm unable to send them places. Interesting. So this is actually a lot different than I thought. It basically turns it into a sort of simulation strategy game. Very interesting. Well, I do hope this has given you a good idea of the game, however. And that, if this is the kind of thing you're looking for, there's a ton of content here, and the early access seems very trustworthy so far. So far. It can, of course, go downhill, but in my opinion, even if it never gets updated again, there's so much here and workshop support that there's, I mean, $15 is nothing for the kind of content you're getting. But again, they seem to be updating it very regularly, and from what I can tell, there's a pretty massive amount of positive feedback around this whole thing. That basically, people like it, and the community around it continues to grow, so that means you're going to see more and more high-quality scenarios being created. And that's that, folks. Turns out the zombie plague has been put down by ZCOM, but we shall rise again and see what happens next time. So thank you guys very much for watching, and if you want to see more, well, there we go. See you guys again next time. We lose. And all the zombies died. There they go. Generic horror movie eradicated. I don't know if that's actually a bad thing. There we go. Generic horror movie is no longer a threat. Thanks for watching, guys. See you next time.